How we doing, everyone?
Hey, doing well. Good to see you, my friend.
Absolutely. So the festivities are over. It's a brand new year, so we just wanted to come in fresh, come in strong. My section, I'm going to be going over some tried and true stuff that we've talked about 1,000 times, and we need to talk about 1,001 because it's that important of a document. It is a form that is by far the most important form that you'll ever see. It is the information about broker services form. This form, guys, if you do not have it and Shrek audits you, you're done. It's over. You are getting fines beyond belief. Um, Not only that, any correspondence that you have with any new clients or anything to that effect, this has to be in the body of the email. And that means above the signature line, it can be a link to a completed copy of the form, but it has to be there included in every single form that you do. It's extremely important that you do it. This is the information about broker services form. This form is there to explain to clients, one, if I represent a buyer, these are my obligations to the buyer. If I represent a seller, these are my obligations to represent a seller. And if I how it works if I were to work intermediary. And again, this is broker level information, not agent level information. So if they say, I don't want to work intermediary, you need to make sure they understand, okay, are you saying you don't want me to have work both sides or no one in my office to work both sides? Because that's a very important distinction to have. It also talks about sub-agency, and if you do not have written agreement to work or an agreement to work with the client as a buyer's agent, you will actually represent the seller themselves. And that's a good way to go in there and talk about the importance of a buyer's rep agreement and how that is helpful. Again, licensed broker or broker information, license number, email address, and phone number, designated broker of the firm, license number, email address, and phone number. These have to be there. The whole point that Shrek is very strong about making sure people understand is who to talk to if they're pissed at you. They want to know, make sure the client has the opportunity to talk to your superior. Then that next one down, licensed supervisor or sales agent. If it is not the broker, if you're under a team, you will put the team leads information here, and then your information at the bottom, license number, email address, and phone number. It has to be initialed, and this has to be given to your client at the first substantial dialogue that you have with that client. It's very important you have this fill out. Kent, any other thoughts on that I'm missing?
Yeah, one of the things that I would make sure you do too is make sure that when you, and I know things are moving fast, we're going to talk about that a little bit here in just a minute, but you can't have every one of your contracts and your information and brokerage services have the same date on it. You know, this is supposed to be done at your first meeting. And, you know, in most cases, we don't write a contract the first time we meet somebody. So make sure those dates are not exactly the same. That's just a big red flag to track, saying that you're not talking to them when you first meet them.
Exactly. And guys, it's difficult. I think another thing, a lot of times clients are really hesitant to complete this because they're just now meeting you. You need to make sure you explain to them, guys, this is not guaranteeing sponsorship. This is not guaranteeing anything. This is just making sure you have received this information. All it is a disclosure. It is in no way, shape, or form binding you to anything.
Yeah. And, you know, the good thing about it, too, is a few years ago when they changed it from actually a signature to just initials, you know, they don't sign it. They just initial the fact that they've seen it, which changes the whole idea of it. And then for some reason, and I mean, you and I have been doing this long enough where I don't think it bothers us, but for some reason, people are nervous to get people to try to sign that document, especially when they first meet them. And I think mostly it's because they don't explain it in a manner that they understand, that they're not trying to say we're signing up to be in business together for life. We're just saying that the state knows that you saw this information.
Exactly. And that's the number one thing is I'm telling them that this is not in any way, shape, or form forcing you to work with me. It's just making sure that I've disclosed to you what my roles can be in this situation. There's 3 ways that I can represent you, either as a buyer's agent, a seller's agent, or as an intermediary. You have been explained to those 3 items. Like I said, real quick and easy with that. I think sometimes we need that refresher and the reminder that it's got to be in the email, reminder that it's got to be signed early in the transaction. And as Kid said, probably shouldn't be signed after the contract has been signed.
And, you know, the other thing, guys, just get a bunch of them, print them off, keep them in your vehicle, keep them everywhere. You know, That way you can just, when you meet with somebody, you can pull it out. I know we live in the electronic world. I get that. Most of the stuff we get done, we get signed, electronically. But there's nothing wrong with laying a piece of paper down in front of somebody when you first meet them and have them initial that off on the countertop in the house you're showing or wherever you are. You got to get it done. And if you just get it done and get it over with, I know it seems like you're one of those things where you're eating a live frog, the first and hardest thing you got to do every day. It's not that hard. just say, hey, go in here. Here's what we do. Here's how it works. Just initial it. So if the state ever asks me, they know you and I had this conversation, and it's that simple.
Exactly.
Yeah. And it has to be done.
And don't make it harder than it needs to be. There's no reason to.
Yeah. And the sad thing is your broker, Andrew, your super, they can't defend you if you don't do it. I mean, if you don't have it, it's not done. There's no way for them to be able to defend you. So, be sure that we get that fixed and taken care of. So, yeah, I think I like it, my friend.
So you're up, sir.
All right. So today I just, we're going into a new year. Happy New Year to everybody. I'm glad you guys get to hang out with us today. We're going to talk about, winning in today's marketplace. So I'm going to give you 3 basic secrets that I believe will help you get rolling and get your new year started off properly. So, the number one thing, and we talked a little bit about already, is that you have to have conversations with your clients, right? They have to understand how this market works. You need to be the one that's educating them on what's going to happen out there when we go and look at houses or we list their home, right? Some of these people haven't listed a home in 10 or 15 years, and it was a completely different market at that time. I mean, the last time I personally listed a house and sold it, it was the average listing was 18 months. Okay, think about that. There's agents that have been in the business that have never seen even a junker sit for 18 months, right? And that was average when I started. So that was a different conversation than what I'd have today with someone, right? So I got to make sure that my first thing when I sit down with them or I get on the phone with them is we have the conversation and make them understand the marketplace from the standpoint of them being a buyer or them being a seller. There's nothing more overwhelming to a seller than for you to say, all right, we're going to list this thing on Thursday. Friday through Sunday, there's probably going to be 50 couples or families that walk through your house. I mean, that's overwhelming, right? I mean, but as long as they understand that's what's going to happen, then they don't get quite as overwhelmed. So you need to be making sure you're having those conversations. Just tell them, the smartest thing you can do is just leave, be gone for the weekend. Let's get this thing knocked out and done. But if you don't have that conversation with them, they're not going to do it. So make sure you do that. So that takes me to point number 1, and that's consistent contact and connection with your clients and your workers. You want to make sure the people that you're talking to, that you're doing business with, not only your clients, but also your team. Your lender that's out there, your inspector that's out there. You need to be having constant contact and constant connection with those people to make sure that they know what's going on, when things need to be done, what timelines look like. This is one of those first key elements in getting yourself in a position to be able to work by referral and have people go out there. When you communicate very well and you work on that communication piece on a regular basis with your clients and all your vendors, people are going to recommend you, and I'm going to tell you, there's no better person to work with than somebody that's been referred to you, because your customer is so happy with what you did and how you work. It changes the whole dynamic. If any of you have ever worked, and I know most of you have, because we all wound up there at one point in time or another, having to work something that came in off an internet lead or something like that, we got to get everybody to know 3 things. Can I trust you? Are you good at your job? And do you care about me? Okay. It's a difficult thing to get somebody that you've never met, that you picked up a lead off the internet to get where they can trust you. But if your friend or a family member refers you to them, okay, that's gone. They already trust you. Right. And so that makes it at least a third easier to get done than it was when it started. So
absolutely
keep that in mind, have those connections. There's nothing wrong. I'm a big fan of handwritten notes. Anybody I do stuff with, I send a handwritten note to. If they do something to help my business, I'm going to do something to help them, and I communicate with them that way. A lot of people, that's one of those things again that they know you had to take time out of your day and your schedule to think about doing something for them. And so that's just a great way to connect with people. And when you're doing that, and to keep that connection good, when somebody gives you a referral, send them something right then. Make them understand that, and it doesn't have to be much. A Starbucks $5 Starbucks gift card or Sonic gift card. If Andrew gave me one, I guarantee you he'd get a gift card so he could buy him a big old glass of tea at Sonic. He's probably got one on his desk right now. There you go. So that's the referral. That's what I would send him, and he'd remember that, right? And that's all I'm looking to do is just reinforce that behavior of, if I do something for Kent, Kent's going to do something for me.
And I think what you said is so valuable, is the setting expectations. Right. I think if we do a good job of setting expectations early, it makes everything else so much easier to fall into play. Remember, the biggest issue we have is we do this every day. Your average buyer and seller doesn't. No. So they are not prepared for what's going on. They did this 9 years ago, and 9 years ago, it was completely different. So everything they know is useless.
Yeah.
We've got to make sure we set those expectations early, and we prepare them for what's going to happen. That's why we are what we are.
And think about what the contract looked like 9 years ago versus what it looks like today. I mean, the last time they saw a contract is like, man, I signed one page and we were done. Now it's document after document after document after amendment after addendum after bang, bang, So you got that. Those are things you got to get people prepared for. Second thing that you need to start off early in the year with is really getting connected with your vendors, right? You got a lot of people out there that are either going to make you look really good or really bad. Okay. So you want to make sure you got a good connection with your lender, whoever you use for a lender. You want to make sure you have a good connection with whoever you're using for as an inspector. You need to have somebody to refer insurance to. You need to have some vendors out there that can do repairs and things like that for them. You need to have good connection with those guys. Those are the perfect guys to meet early in the morning, buy a cup of coffee, grab lunch with them. I'm not saying you have to buy their lunch. Don't misunderstand that. Just going and having lunch with somebody is a big deal, right? I used to, one of the lenders we used to go to lunch every Friday for, probably 10 years. We went to lunch every Friday, and it was a lender, an insurance guy, and myself. And, we didn't pick up each other's lunch every time, but we had great conversation about the industry and what was going on in the industry. It kept us all informed because, everybody was finding out other little bits and pieces of things that went on. Then we had an opportunity to kind of decompress all that to each other and have more answers than other people would have, and have people I knew I could trust. If I sent Andrew over to this guy, Jim Menzel, Jim was going to take care of him. He was just going to take care of him. And I didn't have to worry about it. When I sent him, I knew he was going to tell people, that I knew what I was doing. I've already told him that he knows what he's doing, and we both had each other's back. And you got to have that kind of relationship with your teammates that you're out there working with. So take the time to, handwrite them a note, but really take the time to spend 10, 15 minutes a month with them. It doesn't have to be hours and hours, hook up for some coffee on the way, everybody out to doing their day's business. That's a great way to just meet at a Starbucks or whatever local coffee shops you got there, and just, sit down and chat for a little bit. What have you learned? That's why Andrew and I do this, is we want you guys to learn the stuff that we're learning on a regular basis, and so you have the opportunity to do that same thing with your vendors. So be sure that you're taking out and doing that,
Well, we spend so much time in our own bubbles, in our own worlds.
Yeah.
It's easy to blame the title company. It's easy to blame the lender. Mm-hmm. What are they seeing? What issues are they having? And you can have that frank conversation. Absolutely. What could I do to make your job easier so we can close earlier?
Absolutely. And what you'll find, that's a good point, and title companies is one of the things that I think is critical. And now I never really got in big fights over title companies because they all got the same thing and all basically had the same fees. So I really wouldn't argue unless it was inconvenient for both the parties signing the contract. That we try to. I always want that to be convenient for them, but I'd also always have a conversation with them. And I'd stay consistently having that conversation throughout the transaction because what I wanted to know was, is my buyer or is my seller giving you the information that you're asking for in a timely manner? Because when things slow down and title work doesn't get done, I'm gonna tell you, and you correct me if you think I'm wrong, Andrew, but I would say 7 out of 10 times when something slows down, it's because the client is not providing the information they need to provide in a timely manner.
Absolutely. And it happens so much with lenders. It happens so much with title.
Yeah.
It's everywhere. I mean, it's like, why did we get this? Well, especially with Dodd-Frank Act going into play, as many years ago as it is now. But if these disclosures are not done, we can't do anything until they are.
Exactly.
It's not like, oh, well, we'll just move forward. We are stuck until this form is signed.
Right.
And if it takes you a week to fill out this form, then we are waiting a week, and we can't do anything else until this is done.
Yeah, and if you didn't talk to your lender in a week or 10 days, I mean, you're that far behind. And then when it doesn't close, guess who's not getting a referral? They're going to blame you. Let's make it real clear. So you need to be up to date. That's another way we pick up referrals is by being on top of everything all the time and helping that transaction get moved. We get paid a lot of money to make sure things go smooth and make our clients look like this is easy, right? Yeah.
I had a situation not too long ago where I called the lender to just I was representing the seller, and I was like, "Hey, I just want to know what's going on." He said, "Well, today's my last day. I don't work there anymore." I was like, "Oh, that's good to know."
Yeah.
Like one of the other agents, like, this guy doesn't work there anymore. What do you mean? Who told you that? He did.
Yeah, and then and nobody took the time to tell you if they've even assigned that to anybody else. Yeah. That's why this communication throughout this contract is critical. That transaction has to be done. Another thing I want you guys to think about doing, is just making sure, once or twice a year, you need to go out and have some kind of little event for your past clients, right? People that have actually done business with you, right? People that have people you've been through the blood and the mud and the guts with, how hard is it to go to a park somewhere and cook them all a hot dog and give them some iced tea and just have time to just socialize? It's not that difficult to do. We get so busy we don't do it, right? That needs to be on your schedule, and you need to do it a couple times a year. We always do something the 4th of July where our office sits. We bring in little metal bleachers, and you can watch the fireworks show, and you can see it perfect from the driveway of our office. So it's a great place to do, and we do that on the 4th of July, right? And that one's really inexpensive to do. We have some hot dogs and hamburgers, and and just get it done. It costs hardly anything. And then every November, the Monday before Thanksgiving, we give all of our past clients not a pecan, a pumpkin pie, right? And people will. It's amazing how much people appreciate that pumpkin pie, right?
Oh,
yeah. I can go back and show you statistics from where we had people that after they got the pumpkin pie, we'd increase referrals by 3 to 5 people a year on that person. I mean, it's nuts, guys. So make sure you're doing that little kind of stuff. Next thing is, exceptional service and care. I mean, that's kind of what we've been talking about the whole time. But we've got to be the educator in this situation to make sure we're doing that. We've got to make sure that we're the one that's communicating, and then we got to follow through on everything that comes up. Follow through on it. I used to do every Friday morning back when we could hold listings for a while. You wind up with 8 or 10 of them sitting in your lap. Every Friday morning I used to call that, whether anything was happening or not. I'd pick the phone up and I'd call that listing and say, "Here's what's gone on this week. Here's what we've done." As long as you're doing it every week and they know it's going to happen. And I've told them it was going to happen when we first start. So you got to do what you say. Right? Then when it comes time, if you ever get back to that situation where we have to do price reductions or anything like that, it's a whole lot easier to do it when you've talked to them every Friday than when you haven't talked to them in 2 months. I'm just telling you. So just keep it simple and make sure that you're doing that. Make sure you're following through. You know,
Well, and I think what you say, and I'm the biggest believer in this: under promise and over deliver.
every time.
And I'm gonna, I teach at the real estate academy. I taught yesterday at the real estate academy, and I always ask the same question: Are we gonna take quick breaks and leave early, or long breaks and leave on time? And they said short breaks, leave early. I said, okay.
Yeah.
We're supposed to be out of here at 12:30. We will be out of here at 12:28.
Right.
Because if I tell you 12:28 and you get out of here at 12:10, I'm a rock star.
Absolutely.
If I tell you 12:15 and you get out of here at 12:20, I'm a piece of garbage.
Right.
Even though you're still out early.
Exactly. That's exactly right. So, and here's the other thing, guys. When you and a lot of you guys are a little newer that watch us and are learning with us. So here's the thing: if you need help, get help. Don't sit. There's too many people out there that are involved with you that have a vested interest in what you're doing. For you not to pick the phone up and go, "Hey, Kent, I don't really know what to do in this situation. What would you do? How would you do?" Just get the help, guys. Make sure when you're out there, there's nothing wrong with asking somebody for help. Here's the thing: when I was managing an office, I'd much rather you ask me for help so I didn't have to fix it afterwards.
I tell people all the time, I'd rather spend 5 minutes fixing it, telling you how to fix it, to solve it, than 6 hours fixing the problem later.
Absolutely. So when you're out there, you have the help. It's there available to you. Make sure that you go out and get it, and come to these trainings, guys. I mean, sometimes you'll go and say, "Well, I knew all that," but if you learned one thing that made that transaction be smoother or got you one more referral a year, just think if you could get one referral a year from half of the houses you sell, that would double most of y'all's business. That's just the reality of it. The math just works right now. I know that's not all of you, but the majority of agents, if they're doing 15, 20, 30 deals a year, you get one more referral from half the people you did that with, you just increase your business by at least 50%. Right? So that's nuts, man. That's big money to you and your family and to everybody that you're around. So keep that in mind. Keep coming and learning from us. So 3 things we got to remember is, number 1, constant contact and connection. Always stay connected. Always stay in contact with everybody. Exceptional service and care. Make sure that we're educating, we're training, we're talking to those people all the time. They know exactly who we are and what we're doing and what our role is for them. So keep that education piece and that communication piece in place there. And then number 3, if you need the help, ask for it. Okay.
That's you. If you're not at a place where you can ask people for help, you need to find a new place. Mm-hmm. I mean, and this is not a knock on any brokerage, any style, anything. But if you have a broker, and everyone does, mm-hmm. and you can't ask your broker questions or your office manager, if you're that large, then you need to find out what are you paying for. Because what you should be paying for is the ability to have someone to have your back and make sure you're not making a mistake and end up in jail.
Yeah. Well,
they're in jail.
Yeah, I mean, how many times have you and I and Brian and Nick and Haley and Colton and all just got together and just hash stuff out?
Absolutely.
I mean, we do that on a regular basis. We schedule time during the year to do that.
and guys, let me be very clear. I'm a broker, and I've been a broker for a long time. Right. I call other brokers quite often. Hey, what do you think about this? How are you handling this? Yeah. And no, just because I've got a broker's license does not make me perfect in all things real estate. Yeah. So to sit there and say, "Hey, I know everything on the broker," absolutely not. I can think off the top of my hand 5 or 6 people that I will contact quite often and say, "Hey, what are you doing here? How are you handling this? What are you seeing?" And if you think you can't do that because you're the all-powerful broker, if you're a new broker to the world, hey, you're not a genius. No one has ever said, "Oh, that guy's so smart, he never asks questions." I ask questions. Can't ask questions. I go to conferences. Can't go to conferences. The day you think you know everything, you know nothing.
I'll never forget that conversation. We were doing a training similar to this, and afterwards I picked you up and said, "Whoa, I see that a little different than the way you see it." And I bet we spent an hour, maybe 2 hours, telling each other story on why we thought it went the way it went and what made sense and what didn't, And I think at the end of it, we probably both said, I learned something there.
Yeah, well, absolutely.
Yeah, and you just got to do those things, guys. So get the help when you need it. Let's go out there. Let's make 2022 the best year you've ever had. I am going to pitch a little promo. If starting, I'm actually going to do 100 Days to Greatness. I know we were going to start it earlier in January, but there's been a little situation where I've had to bump it back to February 7th is when we'll start. So if you're interested in learning those fundamental basic skills on how to work your sphere of influence and work by referral, send me an email at kentbush.com. I'll send you an invitation. It is a paid course. It's put on by the Buffini Company. I moderate the course. So, guys, we'd love to have you come in there and learn that with us. So take the time to do it. We will do it via Zoom and live. So if you're anywhere in the world, you can do it with us. So we'd love to have you. And that's my plug for the day.
Good to go.
All right, my friend.
Kent, be good. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and we'll see you next week.
All right, have a good one.
All right, guys, I'm out.